Oh man, I'm buying the book. First off, so Stella turned 13 on Sunday,
Right,
and
yeah.
and first off, she's got some crappy friends. Like not crappy like bad friends, but they make plans without her, and like she's home right now. And I'm like, it's summertime, and I'm like, I see she's like a little bit depressed, and I'm like, I feel terrible. And I'm like Stella, me and you're going out tomorrow night. I'm taking you to the movies or something. Like I'm taking my daughter to
Nice.
do something tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like I feel so bad for her, but like I'm gonna buy this book for her, maybe just sit and read it with her. Like her and I've read a couple of books together and stuff, so this would be a good one.
Could get her one of the chords too.
Yeah, yeah, it's not a bad idea. Listen, I'm telling you, like we all need like little private devotions, especially
Mm-hmm.
if like. I mean, how often do you hear from people asking, like, how did you conquer your addiction to whatever? You know what I mean? It's like, I really think these devotions to saints are the thing. Father leaves the chat immediately. My daughter has crappy friends. I try to just share personal stuff with you guys, but yeah, dude, I've been watching this church history documentary because I always have a hard time falling asleep. But this church
Mm-hmm.
history documentary I've been watching, the guy has a very like subtle, like a not subtle, like a soothing voice, and the music
So
is really
he sounds
subtle.
exactly the opposite of you.
Oh, come, we have to talk about this.
Oh,
We have to talk.
I know what we have to talk about.
So Joe Clark messaged Rob the other day.
Joe is a mutual of both Anthony and I on Twitter, and he watches the show, and he has really witty, funny comments that he shares with us.
And he nailed both of us pretty well. He gave a description of me.
Oh, it's right on the money.
It freaked me out a bit. So he said,
Well, only because you had to look up the words in the
I need a
dictionary.
thesaurus to be this guy's friend in a dictionary. I don't even know what the heck this means. So, all right. So he said, you are a garrulous autodidact, and that is your value proposition. And I'm like, what? What does that mean? So
Anthony's like, "Hey Siri, what does garrulous mean?" And Siri's like, "What does gurgling mean?"
garrulous means excessively talkative, especially on trivial matters. So he's got that down, right?
Check mark.
All right. What does didact mean?
That autodidact is someone who teaches themselves everything.
Which I think that's pretty fair, right? Like I didn't want to drop out and I didn't go to college, so so I'm an excessive talker on trivial matters, but I'm self-taught. That's a pretty
Yeah,
fair
it's pretty much right on.
a pretty fair description of me, I would say.
Mhm.
But yeah.
You said the forbidden word though.
What was that? Trivia. I said trivial, not trivia.
It's different, Mac.
We're doing trivia next week. Not next week.
No,
the
not
17th.
week after.
The 17th. So next week we're gonna keep tonight at an hour, guys. But the 17th we're doing trivia. So next week, on the 8th we have Charles Frowney, right?
Frawny, yep.
I'm gonna butcher that. Wednesday, Rob and I are gonna be on the Return of the King podcast.
Yep.
Then Thursday we have Keith Nestor. We're doing a lot of shows next week. And Saturday we have Gavin Ashenden.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Hope and Nicole are going to murder us.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to kill us.
Missy, you might not even know what trivia is.
Missy, you're new to the channel. We do. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to pick two of our paid subscribers on locals are going to join us. I'm going to pick two volunteers that are paid subscribers, that are, those who support us that want to come on.
Oh, I was hoping she wasn't listening right now.
Oh,
My wife.
dead. Hope you got to bear with us. It's a rough week next week. So we're gonna pick two local supporters. We're gonna get Jason and Mark. We're gonna reach out to Angela, see if Angela wants to come on.
Darren, we need Darren.
Darren for sure.
Yep.
Who else do we have to get on?
Connor. Gotta have Connor.
Yeah. So Darren, Connor, Jason, Mark, Angela, and two local supporters.
Yep.
And hopefully everybody can come. I'm sure. I know Connor's going to definitely want to come. Hopefully Darren can make it. And what we do is Rob and I, we play Catholic trivia. And
we fight over the answers.
The audience plays too. So what we do is the first 3 in the audience that get the correct answer get a point. Okay. So at the end of the episode, the top 3 players that got the most points, I will probably not pick the winner. Right. I'll pick someone. We'll get a prize. And the prize.
Caitlin thinks we should have Nick Cavazos.
I think Nick Cavazos will still be away.
That's his last day. He's at Clear Creek Abbey reading the Summa. So he won't be able to join us for that one.
Yeah, which he'll be there for the next one. But we're doing it the 17th. This is confirmed. 17th, we're doing trivia.
I think I'm going to make the stream maybe tomorrow, and let's promote the heck out of it. Yeah,
I promoted 2 of them. So one is church history, and the other is Saints and Sinners, this history of the popes. And so somebody was talking about when did Latin come into the church and stuff. Like I got all of that from that Saints and Sinners documentary. Like Pope Gregory the Great really unified the church with Latin, and it wasn't just Latin. Like he unified the whole church with the calendar too. He gave us the Gregorian calendar. He wanted everybody celebrating Easter on the same date. Like he was like
Gregorian chant.
Chant. He was one of the greatest popes we have ever had.
No, the Gregorian calendar is not him.
Oh, it's not? Oh, okay.
No, that's later. Like Gregory the 7th or the 14th or something like that.
But either way, he made everybody celebrate Easter on the same date. Like he wanted unity. He was like the Latin church will be in union. So he's the one who pushed through Latin and everything. He's the one who got who wrote the Vulgate.
He finalized that was Jerome, but that was
Jerome. But I think Gregory commissioned Jerome to do it. No,
that was about 100 or 200 years later. It was Pope Damasus that commissioned the.
Okay. Trivia guys.
But Gregory the Great.
Trivia. That's a good question.
Gregory the Great did, under his reign, the Roman canon was finished and remained completely unchanged until 1962. So yeah, his reign. I mean, there's a reason he's called, Pope Saint Gregory the Great.
Yeah. That Saints and Sinners document. Look, they give you the bad ones too. I mean, you're going to go through the pornocracy. You're going to go through all of that. But what I took from that documentary, first off, it's really, really strange because what you'll take from it is seeing the divine protection the church has. Like you see some messy popes in there, and it's like the church still manages to keep it together. And but you do see in the last episode a clear change when John the 23rd comes. It's like all these popes are talking a certain way, doing things a certain way. Then all of a sudden, John the 23rd comes in. Let's open the windows to the world, and it's like, whoa, what's going on here? It is a clear change in something, and it's like I don't know if I'd have picked up on it.
Are you saying the Sedes paid for that last episode?
What did you say?
Are you saying the Sedevacantis paid to have that last episode made?
No, they don't. They in the documentary they make it like it's great. And
I'm sure
praiseworthy, right? Like they think, the church is the modern world. But if you're like a devout Catholic, you're watching, you go, no, cancel the council, don't do it. It's pretty great. But even that, dude, CNN did a documentary on the popes too.
You and your secular CNN documentaries.
Well, the Pope's documentary wasn't bad until the last 2 episodes. It was the last 2 episodes are horrific. Brother Michael Diamond is loving this. The last 2 episodes when they get up to Francis, you're just like, please, come on, stop. It's just a Francis love fest, and the whole thing is about how Francis is opening up to Islam, and the Muslims love Francis, and it's like, oh gosh.
I can't watch movies like with people outside of like Hope anymore, because it's like, like for instance, like Kingdom of Heaven, and where they make the Templars the bad guys and everyone's cheering against them, and I'm like, yeah.
Okay, so like Vikings and what's the one? There's one on Netflix about like the Vikings,
The Last Kingdom.
The Last Kingdom, right? Like every one of those shows, they always try to show. Hold on one second, Agrarian Peasant. I'm gonna give you guys the link to the Pope's documentary and the other one. They're both free on YouTube. So, but yeah, they make those shows, and they're always shows that show the Vikings as the good guys, or like glorifying
they're
the
they're
Viking lifestyle.
the open-minded egalitarian, where women can be in charge too, sort of
Ah, so
societies, and it's
annoying.
like,
But it's like, okay, these civilizations, they were so great, but they all converted to Christianity.
well, yeah, and
It's preposterous.
well, it's like all the people who are into, like, so-called Norse paganism again these days. It's like, you people don't understand that the religion you think you're celebrating is the remnants that the Catholics allowed you to read about. Like, Catholic monks, the Vikings didn't have an alphabet.
Yeah.
Monks took the Viking runes, turned it into an alphabet to use for their language, and then wrote down all the Viking stories
That's the thing.
that they thought were worthwhile.
100%. Like even the Greek myths, like I don't think people realize that the Greek myths, we have them because it was Catholic monks that translated. So Rob, I gave you the saints and sinners one. I'm going to give you the other one too. Hang
How do you expect me to magically get it from my phone?
Where do you
onto
want me
the
to put it?
computer?
WhatsApp?
WhatsApp, yeah.
Well, you could text it to WhatsApp, can't you?
Yes.
Oh,
I
come on.
suppose.
Can't have two of us not paying attention, though, right? We're both looking at our phones. It's the worst show. We are the worst. Let me see if I can even find it.
We are.
We're so terrible.
You guys,
I'm doing it for you guys, though.
you're screwed when Anthony has something you want to watch, and you ask him for the link because you're probably never going to get it.
Oh, I got it. Okay, wait. All right, I'm sending this one to WhatsApp. Rob, next. Guys, it's terrible that I don't know how to share a link. That's how bad I am.
You guys have no idea how
I'm the worst.
what doing this show is like.
All right, Saints and Sinners. I got that one. I can send that one too. Hang on.
Okay, so this one I'm putting in now is the church history documentary.
Yeah, the church history one first, and then Saints and Sinners. Yeah, guys, like these are great to go to sleep to, right? Like they are. They're good to because so you don't need to actually. So the Saints and Sinners one, they're showing still shots. Like it's not like they have footage from the first century. So you're seeing like first off the song, the intro song is my favorite song I've ever heard. It's a version.
Wait a minute. You mean the Chosen is made up? It's not real from the first century? Are you serious?
So the Saints and Sinners documentary, though, like the Kyrie that they sing in the beginning is so beautiful. I wanted to see if we could get it as like the intro for our show. It's so good.
Well, I can rip it off of there, no problem.
It's going to be copywritten.
Yeah.
But it's like, so they basically just show like icons and things like that. So you could even like listen to it as you go to bed. You don't even have to watch it. It's like, so it's a good one for that. But, and then so the Saints and Sinners one is really good. And then the church history one, I didn't know if it was going to be Catholic or not, but the guy, like, I mean, it has to be like, it's very Catholic. Like it goes through all the heresies, everything. And it goes through all like the big players and the big saints that really, pulled it all together and like goes through every heresy. And I mean, it's only 2 hours long and you get a pretty decent snapshot of church history. It's pretty cool.
One of my favorite classes in college was church history. And I went to the University of Nebraska, so it was completely secular. So much of it, of course, was BS. But I loved it because day by day, you could see the devout Protestants getting more and more and more confused as to why we weren't talking about their religions.
Yeah,
it was literally 3/4 of the way through the class until anything that they knew was mentioned.
There's never been a truer statement than St. John Henry Newman. To be steeped in history is to cease being Protestant. Like you don't understand. Like you really do see it. It's like when you start seeing like Irenaeus and Ignatius, and you start seeing the way these guys spoke, and not even just that. Like when Irenaeus gets put to death, like the things he says, like I want to be ground as wheat in the teeth of the lions. Mm-hmm. Like you're like, whoa, we don't have anybody that talks like that anymore. It's like these guys wanted to be martyred. Like they were so happy they were going to be martyred. And even the St. Philomena story, Rob, Like, I meant to talk to you about this because I really did watch a bunch of videos on it, and almost all of them are children's videos, right? But I found a good one that was like really telling the adult story. Like, they try to drown her with an anchor. Like, they wrap an anchor around her neck. They drown her. She doesn't drown. They bring her up. They shoot her with an arrow. She doesn't die. So Diocletian throws her in a dungeon because he thinks she's going to die, and she doesn't die for days. And then he finally beheads her. But you're like, this poor girl. Like, let her die. like that poor girl, the things you... But it's like, especially early on, man. Like, when you really think about how the church spread, especially during the apostolic times, like, Paul would go put his hands on a bishop. Like, he would literally put his hands on a man. And when Paul put his hands on a man, it was almost like the man received divine revelation directly into his head. So, like, you really see a solid Catholic Orthodox faith immediately come about.
Well, it's like Becket, St. Thomas Becket, right? Like, before his consecration as bishop, he was not a good guy. He was not a good priest. You know, he was a friend of the king, and he was, womanizing, and he wasn't chaste, and he was a drunkard, and all of this. And then he becomes bishop, and all of a sudden he is willing to go to his death for the faith.
For the faith. It's crazy. Like, yeah, man. Like, when you really see how that early church spread, it's like, it's so funny, like, how Protestants would think, like, oh, we get the Bible and everything. Like, look at how crazy Protestantism got in a couple hundred years. Forget that, in the first decades of Protestantism. Like, look at how bananas it got when everybody just
you had Luther telling, the Protestant princes to violently put down, the Anabaptist and other new sects. Like,
but everybody that picked up the Bible made their own religion up. That's literally what happened, right? Whereas when you had Paul going around laying his hands on people, once these bishops would set up, it's not like they had communication like they do now. It's like but
it was a church, a separate,
all separate.
Yeah.
Well, it was one church, but they were separate communities that had no interaction with each other other than letters here and there, right? So it was like to realize that these men, wherever an apostle set up a church, where a patriarchate would get set up, so you really got to realize Peter went to 3 different places. He went to Antioch, he went to Constantinople, or
Antioch, Alexandria,
and Rome, right? So you had the Bishop of Rome was the Pope, but you had the patriarchs of those other 2. Like, those 3 always had pride of place because of Peter. Like, because Peter went to those, like, even though he dies in Rome.
Like, we celebrate the chair. I don't know about the Novus Ordo, but we used to liturgically celebrate the chair of St. Peter at Antioch and the chair of St. Peter at Rome as separate feasts.
Yeah, because those seats were so important. And that church history documentary really goes into, like, all these little things. And Anthony says like so much. I'm not sure if he's trying to get us to hit the like button every second. Remember that woman said
that's what that woman.
Yeah, you say like a lot. Listen, guys, all right. I'll try not to say like. I'll do my best.
It's not gonna work.
No, it's not. I'm terrible. It's one of those words that you use to stall for a second as you're trying to collect your thoughts.
Yeah, it's just part of that hoopla.
I'm still embarrassed about that. But no, we all say. I have a friend at work that says the F word when he's doing that. Like, he's like,
instead of saying like,
instead of saying like, he'll go effing. Like, when he's trying to think, it's like you need a second to think, so you say a word. Be you, bro. I'm just messing. Thank you. You guys can always rag on me. I don't care. I'll switch to instead of like. These I think these documentaries are good to watch. Just they give you little bits and tidbits of the faith that you may not have picked up, and how it's hard to read a lot of times if you're driving in your car. They're good to listen to. These are not visual things. They're basically podcasts, so you can check out now when I re-listen to this and I hear myself say like, it's going to drive me crazy.
I just did it too. Thanks, guys. But I used to read a lot more before kids, and of course, Now, not only is there less time, but kids love to grab whatever's in your hands.
Yes, they do.
So whether it's an iPad I'm reading on a Kindle on, and they want to throw it to the ground and break it, or if it's a book, they want to grab it and rip it. So I don't get to read a lot anymore. And like I've noticed that audiobooks, number one, I'm a much more visual learner. So listening, I don't retain as much, but audiobooks don't work very well just in general, I feel, because that was written to be read.
Yeah.
Whereas a podcast, which is words being spoken just like
But
an
it's meant to
audiobook,
be listened to.
It's a conversation. It's meant to be listened to.
Yeah. So Father Maudsley, we have coming on September 9th.
Yep. I'm excited for that one.
Saturday, September 9th, we have Father Maudsley coming back on.
Are we going to try to do that one on YouTube?
I don't know. I think
his latest book is about all of his books are about typology. It's
but this one's about the Amish.
The old and new series, but this one is about typology related to the conversion of the Amish at the end of time. So that might be interesting.
The people of the old covenant. Oh man, I had a fight with my wife before I came on tonight.
Is this one of those videos we're gonna hope she doesn't watch?
I don't care if she watches. I'm so mad at her right now. You have no idea. She disassembled my whole studio before I came on. Like I'm.
Well, you don't think she's gonna read Augustine's Confessions, bro?
No, that's the point, right? So she takes my books. She takes the Brothers Karamazov. She's not reading Dostoevsky. She couldn't even reach.
You're not reading Dostoevsky either.
Stop your nonsense. I've read the Brothers Karamazov. Stop your nonsense. I haven't read The Idiot yet. I think it's a biography.
What about Crime and Punishment?
Crime and Punishment I haven't read either. But the Brothers Karamazov I read.
Man, that sounds like me just doing this podcast.
Crime and Punishment. Crime and Punishment is what I put you through, and The Idiot is a biography about me. So she comes down and she takes Augustine City of God. She takes the Brothers Karamazov. She took the Little Flower of St. Francis of Assisi. The Little Flowers of... I'm like, you're not reading these. Why are you taking... She wanted them for decorations upstairs. I'm like, but I need them for decorations down here. I broadcast what goes on my shelf. Nobody's coming in the house. Kill it, woman. Driving me nuts. Oh man! All right, we're gonna keep this one at an hour tonight, kids.
Yeah, we've been off the rails for half an hour.
Rob, I sent Rob a bunch of stories tonight. I'm like, I just started sending him stories. He goes, why don't we chill out with any of the controversy? We're having a priest on tonight. Why don't we chill?
Because we don't want his face in a video where Anthony says something crazy.
Where we're talking about Vigano's latest letter or something.
Right.
Like, you just don't.
You sent me that, and I'm like, maybe we don't do this with Father Peregrine.
Yeah, no, and that was actually very, very sound reasoning. Like, I'm glad you did. Oh man, I'm tired. Sorry, guys. Is there anything we could talk about that I sent you?
Has anything happened in the last few days? Well,
we should.
Everything we said about
should we
World
do the Matt Gaspers tweet?
Yeah, what was that one? Let me look that one.
Bring that Matt Gaspers tweet up. World Youth Day.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say everything we said about World Youth Day has been proven to have been right on the money.
100%.
Turns out the consecration of host in the IKEA bowls might not have even been valid at all. So
wait, so what was the deal with that? Would you think those were consecrated at a mass before that, though?
No, so I haven't seen any official story. All I saw was a tweet by one priest, not a rad trad priest, not even a traditional priest as far as I know, just a conservative Novus Ordo priest, who said that he had heard that they had all the Eucharistic ministers standing around the whole area with the unconsecrated host in the IKEA ciboriums.
So they weren't on the
saran
altar.
wrap. So they weren't on the altar. They weren't even uncovered because the part of the form is the priest is like the breath of the priest, like actually as he says the words of consecration, touching the sacred species. And I don't know if this is true, but like I said, it sounded like they had already been handed out and were all over during the consecration and probably were not consecrated at all.
So I thought they were consecrated at a previous mass, and that's. I mean, I don't know. I thought
Which
that's what
that's
it was.
legit because, you know, I mean, a lot of times the priest will pull the ciborium out of the tabernacle with hosts from
At a
the
previous mass, they were consecrated.
Right. So if that's the case, that would be, I mean, they were validly consecrated then at least, but of course it's still pretty significant Eucharistic abuse what happened after.
The whole idea of concelebration is weird to me.
Yeah.
Like that whole idea of like 7 or 8 bishops up at the altar together and they're all holding their hands out. Like that's a weird thing to me.
Well, it doesn't exist in the Roman Rite prior to 1970. You know, it's, and I don't know if it exists in the Eastern churches, but it's not a Latin practice, not a Roman practice.
It's just weird to me. It's like,
because, I mean, are they all acting as Christ at this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the sacrifice.
yeah,
of
the
the
one priest is standing in persona Christi. It's a weird thing, man. Like, I don't know. The more you attend the traditional liturgy, the more you dislike the Novus Ordo.
Well, like as Father Maudsley says, the more you realize how disoriented, the modern rite is.
It's just weird. Like all of it's weird. I don't know. It's all weird stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say here. I heard that the Eastern
Churches,
as
I know, okay,
have something called it, but the theology behind it and the practice of it is once again far different. Just like how in the few Eastern churches that do have communion in the hand, it's not the current Roman practice, right?
Yeah.
It's completely different.
And it's like, even if, like, I mean, the way they'll say the communion in the hand thing, they'll be like, this is actually a practice from the early church. It's antiquarianism, right? So they take this quote from St. Jerome, where St. Jerome is talking about a very specific situation where he's saying, take your hands and make them like an altar, and you bow before the altar. And
you don't pick it up and put it in your mouth. You go like
this.
And then you venerate your eyes with your hands. You venerate your ears.
Because your hands touch the consecrated host, right? So it's
right.
like, so they describe this antiquarian practice that it's like, if that was how people were receiving, maybe. But that's not what's going on. Like, if you watch World Youth Day and you watch how the people were receiving there, it's atrocious. Like, it's just so offensive. And if you're not offended by it, it's like, I don't know if you really know what you're looking at, right? Like,
right. I mean, not to judge anyone, but I just like, it's something like like the reaction within me is like visceral.
Angry.
You know, it is so against like my. Well, you know, your
Catholic sensibility.
Sensus fidei. You know?
Dude, at my son's confirmation, it was at a Novus Ordo Mass, and it was, I went up to it was during COVID, right? So it's 2020, during COVID, and everybody's got masks on. And I go up to the priest before the confirmation. I'm like, Father, is there any way I can receive on the tongue if I wait till the end? If I'm the last one to go, I'm like, I would really like my son and I to both receive on the tongue. He goes, I just can't do it. The head pastor won't allow it. You know, like he wanted to, but the head pastor wouldn't allow it. So I didn't receive it, my son's confirmation. But I'm sitting there and I'm watching everybody with their masks on. They're going up with their masks on, holding one hand out, pulling their mask off, and then receiving. And 3 hosts hit the ground at one mass, and I gasped, like I was like,
and nobody else even
thought anything of it. The guy just picked it up off the ground, put it in his mouth. He broke it in half on the floor. It's like, what is going on here? Like, especially after like for going for months at the traditional mass and then seeing something like that, it was like I was irked, like so upset that nobody can. And I'm like, how do you as a priest? How do you as a priest continue that practice?
I don't know.
Like, honestly, as a priest, you see this happen during COVID, especially. You're seeing everybody with the mask and it's dropping and it's falling on the ground. How do you honestly continue that practice when you see that happen so often? Like, I don't know, man. Like you wonder if these men, I don't know.
I
I don't want to judge anyone's
Mary
soul.
here says that World Youth Day 2023 has the lowest attendance.
Oh, it's under a half a
ever.
million. It's under a half a million. That's like
And
the first time. It's not even close.
You know, besides all the, of course, abuse and just kind of irreverence that happens at these things, you know, you hear the argument said by those that support it, like, oh, but look at all the good it does. It's like, it's not. It's failed. I mean, every one of these has failed, right?
Mike
if this
Lewis
is the lowest attendance ever.
Mike Lewis tweets out a Where Peter Is article bragging about the amount of catechesis going on. There's these catechesis sessions going on. There's hundreds of them. And I read the article. It's like,
yeah, this looks like catechesis right here, folks.
This is the tweet.
Are you joking me?
Interpretive dance with lettering. Look, I'm gonna be honest. You guys are just old now. Like this is what the young kids are into. This is hip.
Yeah. This is hip.
Bro.
Uh-huh.
This is hip. I'm telling you.
Yeah, because how many of those 500,000 kids can even read the English that they spell this in? Come on.
It's in Lisbon, and they put words in English. So he puts out the article saying how much there's catechetical sessions going on, hundreds of them. It's Bishop McElroy giving one. It's all these horrible men giving these catechetical sessions, not on the Catholic faith, on the synodal church, on synodality. That's not catechesis. I'm sorry. That's like the opposite of catechesis. That's like teaching people away from the faith. Even the things Francis was saying today.
Yeah, I know that this parish is actually, I think, where my cousin got married. I don't know if you remember during COVID that there was a parish handing it out in Ziplocs. That was the parish my cousin got married at.
So Francis today says everyone is welcome in the church. Everyone, no exceptions. Everyone. Sinners, everyone, all sinners. It's like, well, obviously.
Well, duh. Come on.
That's been the practice of the church forever. Like, why are you making a big deal of it? What you're not saying is that everyone is welcome with requirements. Like, there are requirements. Like, you can't just say everyone's welcome and doesn't matter. No, there's requirements to being Catholic. There just is.
Otherwise, what did the martyrs die for?
Yeah. And it's like he'll always say something true, but a half truth, and leave out the important part, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's just
or in those times where he actually does say something fully, and they only report on half of it, which
that's true.
But you never hear a clarification from the Vatican saying this is what was really said.
Yeah, they've just totally abandoned that practice because he likes the messiness. He likes
that ambiguity.
Confusion. He likes the ambiguity. Yep. He likes it all. Because he'll say something true but ambiguous so that people can then say, see, the church is a church for sinners. And like it's literally what it is. I mean, we're all sinners. Nobody in the history of the church came in saying, I'm perfect.
Mary.
Would Mary say? Oh, obviously, but she never came in saying
Mary was perfect.
I'm thinking about Mary in our comments. I'm like, Mary says she's perfect? Really? Poor Mary.
Paul.
The good news is that all the kids were so drunk that no one paid attention to Father Mark. Yeah, dude, I think like if you're going to one of those things, it's like you're looking for a bar. It's like, let's just all go hang out and meet up. It's like, are you really going to go see a Bishop McElroy catechetical session? Come on.
What is the point of any of this stuff? Maybe this is just my anti-socialness coming out, but why would you go to any of this stuff with 500,000 people? Like, how is that going to? How can you feel like an intimate connection with God with 500,000 people around you?
Imagine if Father James Martin converted. That would be unreal. He just becomes base and starts saying the seal of preaching orthodoxy. Listen, man. I'm somebody who's been a frequent guest on this show. Not frequent, but been on more than once. Has a sister who was living the rainbow lifestyle. Very disordered. Almost went trans, and is coming into the church. And this is a pretty big person who's been on our show. And the miracle that this person went from that to not just Catholic, but like traditional Catholic, like getting received into the church in a traditional mass, like all of it. It's like, don't think anything is beyond God.
If Augustine could become Saint Augustine, I wouldn't put, you can't put it past God that Slim Jim Martin might become based.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to bet money on it.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet money on it.
Mostly because I need to put it into the show.
And plus, we need free will. We all have free will to reject God's grace. So, but you never know how it's going to go. But all right, let's wrap this up because
rebuilding the bridge.
That's actually great. Oh man, that would be so awesome. All right, so let's promote Father's book again though before we go. So
yeah, so I'll hold on. Let me throw it in the chat. I'm going to throw it in the description. Probably half an hour or so after we get done here.
I want to order that book. Actually, I'm going to order it right now.
I don't think
Where
you can.
should I order it from?
I think it releases on the 8th.
Okay, so it's pre-order or
it's pre-ordered now, and it's right now only available at TAN.
Okay, good.
So most of the interviews we do on books, guys, are from TAN. We have a rep over there that helps us schedule interviews. So we'll have Dr. K on hopefully sometime soon to talk about a couple of his books too.
Oh, also Joshua Charles' book from Sophia is dropping.
I think that's pre-order now.
It's pre-order now, so
in October, I think.
Yeah, so Joshua Charles's book is coming out. I want to make sure we promote that. We'll get him back on to talk about that. Maybe we'll get his co-author on with him. Let's see.
So Mary says it's sold out, but I'm on their website right now and it says pre-order now.
Which book is that?
My name is Philomena.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know if she's talking about the same book.
It's not released yet, so. So Joshua Charles's book is called "Persecuted from Within: How the Saints Endured Crises in the Church." He co-authored that with Alec Torres. So maybe we'll get both of them on to talk about that book.
What does pre-order even mean? The phrasing is weird, right? Because you're ordering.
Yeah, you're ordering it before it's actually going to be sent out to you. So you get your order in, and then you might actually get it a day or two before it goes officially on sale.
Right. They're just saying they're going to get it from the actual printer at a certain date, and they think they can have it ready to ship on the release date. Sometimes it gets,
the reason they do pre-order is because they want to get an idea of how many they should print.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, all right. I'll reach out to Josh. Let's go, Rob. Let's wrap this up.
Sounds good.
Adios, everyone.
Unite the clans. Enoch. Let's go. Yo. Take me back to my reversion.